no. Come on, where is it?
Dave, it's your Idaho Central app here. Any chance you're missing a debit card? Let's get that taken care of for you. With ICCU's card control, you can turn any card off with the tap of your finger.
You've got it.
And back on again. Ow, 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 ow. The closest Idaho Central Credit Union branch is in your pocket.
Ooh, the gym. My old stomping grounds. Hank Patterson, Fly Fishing Guide.
Riley Smith, tight end.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Hey, you wouldn't happen to be the kicker?
No, tight end.
Again, thank you. I'm looking for a kicker for Lithia Ford's fall kickoff sale. But you're not the kicker.
No.
Yeah. Nah, the kicker's probably taller and in a lot better shape. So, okay. What position do you play?
Tight end.
Squats. Yeah. Try it sometime.
RowPaint.com, the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics, is going all in this season with an all-star lineup. First up, he led the Broncos to 3 conference championships and 10 20-win seasons. It's Coach Leon Rice. Next, he's the founder and CEO of RowPaint.com. He played a little basketball in high school on the driveway with his mom. It's Andy Rowe.
Oh, no. Want to just paint my house?
Now that I can do. When I want Boise State to win, I trust Coach Rice to lead the Broncos to victory.
And when I want the best painting and garage floor coating, I trust RowPaint.com to get that job done right.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Today's broadcast is coming from the Cutwater Spirits Canned Cocktail Studios. Check out one of their more than 30 flavors of pre-mixed premium cocktails at your local gas station or grocery store. Cutwater Canned Cocktails is perfect for your next game day tailgate party. Now, here's 4-time NSMA Idaho Sports Writer of the Year, BJ Raines, with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Hey, how we doing, Boise State fans? Happy Monday to you. Greetings. Welcome on into the Cutwater Studios here at Bronco Nation News Live, bronconationnews.com. It's Monday, and that means we get our crossover here with KTIK 95.3 The Ticket. And today's guest, Mike Prater, there in the RowPaint.com studios in downtown Boise. Mike Prater, it's a nice weekend. The rain, unfortunately, the cooler temperatures have returned. And it's spring in Boise, I guess. But how we doing, sir?
I'm doing well. It's not bad for a Monday morning, and let's get after it. So I know we got a spring game, we got football, we got a combination of all kinds of stuff, and let's go, bud.
Still reeling from my first loss of the season for our 10U baseball team on Saturday, a walk-off loss, 10-9. So it's 48 hours later, and I'm still mad about all my coaching decisions. But we're hopefully, weather permitting, playing tonight again. So we'll try to get back on the winning track tonight. But hope everybody, whether it was watching their kids play sports or getting out to play some golf or just getting to do some things, hopefully everybody had a good weekend out there. And Boise State had a pretty good weekend on Saturday. Had close scrimmage number 2. And we're going to spend primarily most of the show here talking about that. We were not able to watch the scrimmage, Mike Prater, but we talked to Spencer Danielson afterwards. We've got some clips we're going to play from Spencer Danielson, including his opening statement, which we'll play here in just a second. But overall, it sounds like the offense was the talk after scrimmage 1, as we kind of all expected. The defense turned the page and was the storyline on scrimmage 2, and now they'll have 2 more practices here that we'll get to watch tomorrow and Thursday, and then the annual spring game to wrap it up on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, the defense certainly stood up at practice. Was it last Thursday? I think was the first time that I'd been to practice where I thought the defense dominated the practice, and they really did. I mean, they went from 0 to 60 in 24 hours with that impressive practice on Thursday. Now, with that said, yesterday or Saturday with the scrimmage, I'm not sure how many, the offensive stars certainly weren't put in a position to go out there and be offensive stars. The defensive guys certainly came through. Irby, I can't believe that guy is going to become a superstar with this football team. It seems like, Jake Ripp. They marched Jake Ripp out in these interviews. When they start marching out guys that we had never talked to before, and then they come through with some stat performances on scrimmages, you can connect the dots and say, okay, Jake Ripp, he's going to be a player. He's evolved and taken his game to the next level. You can put together some things like that. So Irby, Ripp, the defense, good for you guys on Saturday.
Yeah, so the stats and things from the scrimmage, I think everybody saw them out there, but you did have a couple of field goals from Jonah Dalmas, 3, in fact, including a 57-yarder that he made. You had Colt, let's see here. You had, it says Colt Ford. I guess that's Colt Fulton or Ben Ford, one or the other. 1-yard run. Sire Gaines had a 1-yard run. Max Cutforth, the walk-on quarterback, had a 9-yard run. And then C.J. Tiller did have a touchdown pass to Austin Bolt. They were 4.1 yards per carry on the rush on offense. They did not give us the individual passing stats for this scrimmage, which because overall they weren't that great. 23 of 45, 2 interceptions, 1 touchdown, 51% completion, 5 sacks, 8.4 yards per completion. We will hear the quote from Spencer Danielson here in a second, Mike, but the difference to this scrimmage, which they have not done here in a long time, he said, is the quarterbacks were live in this scrimmage. So this was a live bullets. The quarterbacks got tackled, got sacked. It was a regular old game out there on scrimmage number 2, and that does change things for the quarterbacks when you're, you're feeling a little more comfortable back there when the sack is just them touching you or whatever. When you're live, as they decided to make the change and do in scrimmage 2, that amped things up, and that's why I think part of the reason you saw the quarterback numbers not be quite as good, the defensive numbers step up. But the offense was 45% on third down. We mentioned the 2 interceptions, only 1 touchdown, 5 sacks. And then you mentioned the defense. Jake Ripp had 6 tackles, did have a sack as well, and a QB hurry. Chase Martin, 4 tackles. And then you mentioned Jeremiah Irby, 2 interceptions, 4 tackles. Trayvon Tolmere had 2 pass breakups in the end zone. And that was a Colt Fulton run, by the way, that I see later on that they corrected themselves. So overall, the defense stepped it up. I think had 3 or 4 turnovers, Mike Prater, and it sounded like there were a couple of guys that got banged up just a little bit. They were hoping that it was nothing serious, but the QBs being live and trying to really evaluate them, as we've talked about in the past. I mean, the scrimmage, the spring game is a glorified, just kind of practice. The scrimmage 2 is where the final tape is really in the evaluation for these guys. This was kind of the final exam, but you still had 3 days left of class, so to speak. And so that was a big one on Saturday, and they decided to make the QBs live, and they ramped up the intensity on that QB battle a little bit.
Yeah, I like the fact that they went live. That makes a lot of sense. And I would assume though, and we obviously know that Maddox Madsen didn't take any snaps or any reps whatsoever. And I don't know if you went to the press conference on Saturday. I didn't get a chance to get there, and so I'm not sure exactly how much Malachi Nelson played and how many reps he got. So with the top 2 quarterbacks, it's easy to say, okay, we can go live and get after it, give the defense a chance, give the offensive line a chance to protect guys like C.J. Tiller, who essentially, the writing on the wall is that he's going to be your QB3 when fall camp comes around, but we'll see how it all plays out. So I like the idea because it keeps your quarterback safe, but it also gives your defense a chance to get after it. It gives your offensive line a chance to protect live. So it seems like a pretty smart move. I like it, but BJ.
Let's go with the opening statement first. This was Spencer Danielson speaking to the media after the scrimmage on Saturday.
You guys taking time to come out. I mean, scrimmage number 2. This is a big scrimmage for us because not only is it the practice where you can really evaluate everything prior to this point, and at the end of the day, whatever we put on film is who we are as a football team, right? But it's seeing the progress we've had from scrimmage 1 to scrimmage 2, from obviously just individual players to position groups to sides of the ball, and then to schematically, fundamentally, all those kind of things too. This is really, we got a lot of good reps today. This is a scrimmage. I told our team this before taking the field. is this is the one that we use a ton of evaluation for, because you got scrimmage one, first time really taking guys to the ground in a bunch of months. Then you got the second scrimmage, who can take the biggest jumps from scrimmage one to scrimmage two. And so we're going to use this film to evaluate in a major way, because that's like we talked about even last week, that's the beautiful part about our game, is it is very black and white. You are what you put on film, no different. Like I was joking, what I put on film on that softball diamond the other night, that's who I am. I can't run from that. That's who I am. And so that's no different for our football team. We are who we put on film right now. There's some really good stuff, some stuff that we're going to be really proud of, and some stuff on film that we need to continue to grow. We need to keep taking steps. We've got 2 more practices next week, spring game on Saturday, and we got to finish this thing strong. So, but proud of what we did today. Obviously, a highlight last week was not any interceptions on the offensive side of the ball. A big point of emphasis on defense was we got to take the ball away. Fast forward a week, once again, the growth from week 1 to week 2. Right now, the defense was able to create some interceptions, create some chaos. We were able to take the ball away. I think we had 2 or 3 interceptions. It was cool for the defense to see that. Now, on the flip side, offensively, we got to find ways to clean that up. We cannot give the ball away. So that's just an example. Proud of where our guys are growing. It was cool to see. Our tailbacks ran hard today. Got to give a shout out to Sire Gaines and Boise State. I mean, they did a great job. It was cool to see them run hard, catch the ball in the backfield. Offensive line did a good job creating some yards. It's either ball out of the backfield quick, but even some interior runs. It was cool to see Breezy and Sire do a really good job running in between the tackles. So we're going to keep growing. We got some guys that got a little bit banged up in the scrimmage. I don't think anything too serious, but we'll keep it moving to finish spring ball the right way.
All right, there he is. And again, I was coaching a baseball game during this. So our intern Jaden Finch went, and we appreciate him for getting the video there. And he didn't have the right mic set up because I had it, so it was a little lower volume. I apologize for that. When we play these clips, you can just boost it up a little more. It was a little windy, but did the best we could, and it's better than nothing at all. So we appreciate Jaden for getting out there last minute when I couldn't make it to get there. But overall, we mentioned a couple of the turnovers. You mentioned Irby. You heard the running backs there. I'm going to probably dive in more tomorrow into the running backs with Jay. Breezy Dubar did not play in the first scrimmage, was back out there yesterday, Mike. Sire Gaines, it sounds like, again, had another impressive thing. And we're not going to play the clip today, but there was a lot of talk about him being very similar to Ty Benefield in terms of that mindset coming in as a freshman, being ready to contribute. And, it sounds like, Breezy Dubar is having a heck of a spring himself, but, those number 2 reps aren't guaranteed to him. Sire Gaines is pushing for number 2 reps, and you feel really good about obviously Ashton Genty, but it looks like at least for 2025, Mike Prater, the stable continues to stay bright, and they got multiple guys behind Genty that look like they're going to be pretty impressive here.
Yeah, and it's hard to put the context in here, but I mean, looking at the stats that Boise State provided and listening to what Spencer Daniels, I mean, he likes what Breezy Dubar did, but I mean, he only averaged 3 yards per carry, and I think Sire Gaines was 4+. So, it's hard to put that kind of stuff into context, but I certainly, whether it's a live scrimmage or a real game, I need more than 3 yards per carry out of my backup running back or even my starting running back. So that's certainly something to keep an eye on. The running back position is going to be wide open. I think it's really, really good position that we're going to be talking a lot about in the fall. Ashton Genty clearly is RB1 and has had no reps whatsoever live in this spring game or in this spring camp. So we'll see how it shakes out in terms of RB2. But I noticed that 3.3, it didn't really jump out at me in terms of Breezy's yards per carry.
Let's go back to the quarterbacks. That's the big thing everybody's talking about. That's going to be the number 1. My countdown, your countdown, everything going into next season. Who the quarterback's going to be going into that Georgia Southern game, and this is also where he talks about the quarterbacks being live. Spencer Danielson speaking on the quarterback battle and the decision to have them be live in the scrimmage on Saturday.
The quarterbacks were live today, which was something we haven't done in spring ball here in a while. It was cool to see our guys prep that way, offensive line prep for the protections, and obviously defensively. It's no longer me calling sacks or not. Did you get the guy on the ground or not? I think it was awesome for our team to see those. Awesome for the quarterbacks to feel the stress that rush is a true rush now. It's no longer just rush is going to run by you. They're going to be able to finish on the quarterback. So it was really good to see both sides battle, and it's going to be a really good evaluation for all our quarterbacks to see where they're at. A lot of them did some good stuff, and there's obviously some things to improve on. Throwing interceptions, a huge point of emphasis for us to get cleaned up. But both CJ, Malachi had a couple big-time throws. Malachi had a big-time run for a first down in the high red zone. So there's a couple of highlights. Once again, we were truly playing football today. We weren't blowing the whistle on the quarterbacks. It was live. Let's go to work. 2 minute we made rap. so we can really get that work. But we wanted to see our guys play the game. Offensively and defensively, we weren't going to put it in the whistle. We were going to let them go play the game, and I think it's going to be a really good evaluation. So I think both CJ, Malachi, Cole did some really good things, and there's going to be a lot to clean up, Jay, to your question, because right now you see live fire with the rush being a true rush. You're going to put some things on film of where we are and where we need to keep growing to.
And we have another bite on Malachi Nelson specifically I'll get to here in a minute, Mike Prater. But just in general, what you've seen, what you've heard, how do you handicap the quarterback race to this point?
Well, I certainly like what C.J. Tiller has done. I think C.J. Tiller's done everything that he possibly could with his limited reps. He certainly got more reps in the spring. I like the way he approaches it. I like the way he handles his business. So, good on him. And Maddox Madsen has shocked us all in terms of how much he's been available and how much he's been able to do. So I know we had a chance to talk to him for the first time last week, and he's in a really, really good spot between the years coming off of this injury. It wasn't an ACL. So that's good. It was just the PCL and the MCL, and that's exactly why he's been able to get back so early. And then Malachi Nelson, we saw him take a significant jump starting last Tuesday in practice, and it sounds like that momentum is going. They backed him off. I was a little surprised they backed him off as much as they did. Again, I'm not sure how many reps he got on Sunday or Saturday, but statistically he wasn't productive. I'm assuming that is because of limited reps. I like the direction of where Malachi Nelson is going to be going. So this is a really, really good quarterback race right now. And then it's going to start in August. It's going to continue in August. Will there be 1, 2, or 3 quarterbacks in this race? I still suspect that we're going to have to keep an eye on the transfer portal, although every one of these guys are saying the right thing. Really? 3 capable starting quarterbacks, 3 with starting resumes, 3 with, potential being able to start, and they're all 3 going to stick around. I just don't think it works that way, but we'll see how it shakes out.
Bronco 130 is asking if do we think the coaching staff wanted to see some separation in the QB race with actual pressure? I don't think there's been a lot of separation at this point. They're all kind of 3 in the mix. Part of that is because we really can't see what Maddox Madsen can do in terms of getting a fair shot in the scrimmages and the team 11 on 11 type stuff. But was their goal, you would have hoped that one guy started to separate himself, good or bad, or do you think that they wanted all 3 guys to be even going into fall camp?
I'm going to go out on a limb and say separation wasn't a big part of the quarterback plan for this spring. And I think what they probably wanted coming out of spring camp is 3-3-3, a third. And let's put all 3 of them on the same platform. And CJ's coming off that bowl start. He's going to start in the spring game. He told us last week that he's going to start in the spring game. So CJ's right there. Maddox isn't playing. Malachi's done a great job of advancing. I think the calendar is going to turn August 1st. And if all 3 of these guys are still on the roster, it's going to be a wide open competition for all 3 of them. Now, we can sit here and say CJ Tiller is probably not going to end up on the right side of that when camp is done in the fall. But Malachi Nelson and Maddox Madsen, to me, it's 50-50 right now. There's no separation, and I think they're okay with that. They just wanted to make sure that all 3 of them were on the same plane, and when August turns around, let's go. Let's battle. Let's go.
Let's focus on Malachi Nelson for a minute here. I want to discuss his chances, his improvements that you mentioned you saw, and also what Spencer Danielson thinks of Malachi Nelson. But first, I want to thank a couple of our sponsors real quick. Cutwater Spirits, more than 35 flavors of premixed premium cocktails. You can pick one up at your local gas station or grocery store. I highly recommend the Pina Colada or the Long Island Iced Tea, 2 of my favorites right now. Cutwater Spirits, our studio sponsor. RowPaint.com, our title sponsor. There would be no Bronco Nation News without RowPaint.com, so please support the sponsors. ROEPaint.com, all your concrete coatings, your interior, exterior painting, residential, commercial, industrial, you name it, all your painting needs. Again, support the sponsors, folks. Make this thing work for everybody. ROEPaint.com, our title sponsor, RowPaint.com, here at Bronco Nation News. Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com. So happy that the Raines family switched, but so disappointed I didn't realize how great ICCU was and make the switch earlier, because it's just so easy. The eBranch online mobile banking is so easy to use, and if you need to go into a branch for whatever reason, they have one pretty much on every corner. So highly recommend it. You may think you have a good banking experience, but you'll be so happy if you make the switch. All your banking needs at Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com. Ridley's Family Markets, shop Ridley's.com, 13 locations across the state of Idaho. Find one near you. Love that Kuna location. Just such an easy experience at the grocery store, and very appreciative of Mark Ridley and Ridley's Family Markets and their family. So check them out, shopridleys.com. And again, save up to 40% off at the checkout line using their new app. You can find a location near you and you can download that app. Again, shopridleys.com. Mike Prater, fingers crossed. Today is going to be the day we get an accepted offer here on the home. I already talked to Matt Bauscher early this morning. We're working through some things. We got some offers in. We got some good things happening. So today could be a good day for the Raines family. And, of course, maybe 5 days selling my home thanks to Matt Bauscher. If we pull it off today, Bauscher Real Estate, #1 ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley for a reason. Matt, Kelly, the whole team been so easy to work with, so great. We had some open houses over the weekend and got some offers in. Now we're finalizing things today. But just every time I talk to Matt, I knew he knew what he was doing, but now, like, firsthand being a client of his, I'm finding out just why he is #1. So personal attention, high quality service. He knows what he's doing in terms of what, price point, what offers, what to do to your home to get it ready. It's he's #1 for a reason. Highly, highly, highly recommend. Can't say it enough. Matt Bauscher, BauscherRealEstate.com, 243-8222. Matt, Kelly, the whole team have just been tremendous to work with, and I'm so happy that we're hopefully getting a point here shortly to have a closed sale on our home, hopefully. So Matt Bauscher, Bauscher Real Estate. Check him out, BauscherRealEstate.com. All right, Mike Prater, let's hear from Spencer talking specifically about Malachi Nelson, and apparently after the scrimmage, when they were getting ready to talk to Spencer, Malachi was still out there by himself on the field running through some reads or something, and that was where the question started, was seeing Malachi on the field on his own. And is that something that happens a lot, or is this kind of the first time he's done that?
Especially for Malachi, he's the only quarterback in that room that had to learn the offense, right? All the other quarterbacks coming back knew the offense, knew what it was, knew the verbiage. So he's the one that had to pick up and get rolling quickly, just in regards to understanding the schemes. Coach Cutter, Coach Coop done a really good job with Malachi teaching those things, and he's progressed a ton. I mean, I thought he had his best practice as a Broncos scrimmage #1. And he's continually getting better every week. There's some stuff he did really well today. There's some stuff he has to clean up. And so that's what we're excited to look at as we finish spring.
I didn't have the full quote at the beginning, but he talked about Malachi Nelson was every practice he's out there a lot on his own doing things and has really put in the detail to try to learn this playbook and learn this offense. And we have seen the last couple of weeks, as you said, some significant improvement. I mean, again, going back to scrimmage 1 or practice 1, practice 2, he was dropping snaps out of the shotgun, was throwing interceptions where there was nobody within 30 yards of him. It was all moving pretty fast. And so I think he's made a ton of improvement. I've seen him threading some needles on some really, really impressive throws. You heard scrimmage 1 was his best practice as a Bronco, and then he's continuing to get better with the practices last week. And then he mentioned a couple nice throws he had in scrimmage 2, but also a nice run that he had to extend a play for a first down, I believe, now that they're live, Mike Prater in scrimmage 2 as well. So Malachi Nelson, a lot of hype, a lot of pressure, inside, outside. Everybody, 5-star guy coming in. Bush Hamden leaves. You have Dirk Cutter there now. I mean, he's other than Ashton Genty, I guess, if there was a name that you're looking to watch where he is on the field at all times right now in spring practice, I mean, it's #7.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. And, the one thing when we talk to these other football players, his teammates, when the topic of him comes up, they all talk about one thing, and that's works hard, puts in the time, has been a dedicated teammate. So everybody around him consistently, even when we're not asking, brings it up. So Malachi Nelson is doing everything he's being asked for behind the scenes in terms of grinding, whether it was in public, like right there, doing some more reps after scrimmage, or just doing the book work behind the scenes when nobody's watching. That part is very, very encouraging. The fact that he's continuing to grow is very, very encouraging. And the fact that we're seeing physical signs. You talked about him throwing the passes and what we're seeing in practice. It's been the thing of beauty to watch. When he throws a beautiful ball, it's really, really nice. But the thing that I've noticed is mostly his interaction, the intangible stuff. I think I saw him smile for the first time ever since he came to Boise State. That includes when he was at a Boise State basketball game. I watched him for a little while. He didn't smile an awful lot. Guy does not have this strong outward personality as he's trying to get his feet wet. So the fact that he's smiling, slapping teammates on the butt, high-fiving some guys, running up and down the field and interacting when a big play is happening. That part, to me, is the confidence and the busting out and the intangibles that you want to see in a quarterback. So it's all coming together. People are saying good things about him. We're watching him throw a nice ball in practice. He's doing some of the intangibles that you want as a quarterback. I think it's coming all together. We're a little bit impatient. We want him to do it right off the bat. It took maybe a couple of weeks of spring ball, and here we go. Malachi Nelson, he's off and running.
I want to talk about the defense and a couple other things, but I want to go ahead, Mike Prater, and get our second set of ad reads out of the way here so we can just finish strong. Thank all of our sponsors. Again, this is a free show you guys watch here on Bronco Nation News because of these sponsors. So I get it. It's a little tedious, a couple sponsor reads in the middle of the show, but it allows you to watch the show for free. So support the sponsors, help them want to do this and help keep these shows free of charge for you. One of our great sponsors, Lithia Ford of Boise, LithiaFordBoise.com. You can view that full inventory of vehicles and kind of do your shopping online, find the vehicles you want, and then go in, test drive them, be on your way in a couple of hours. That thing is being uploaded daily, hourly, minute, by the minute with their new vehicles and everything there at LithiaFordBoise.com. And again, 5 Boise State athletes, including 3 football players, Matt Lauder, Ahmed Hassanin, and Andrew Simpson, all driving vehicles from Lithia Ford of Boise. So check them out. Get more information online, LithiaFordBoise.com. Taco Bell, we appreciate them. TacoBellWorks.com. They're hiring. You can get half your wages the next day, and you get free food while you work. So why wait 3 weeks for your first paycheck? They'll help you out. Taco Bell. Again, check them out. And thanks again to the SON Management Group, the Nicolason family. More information online at TacoBellWorks.com. The Blue and Orange Store, Travis Hawks. He was down at the Final Four, I know, hanging with all the bigwigs down there, Mike Prater. BlueandOrangeStore.com. Check them out online. You get free shipping any order over $40, or you can just go right there into the Boise Town Square Mall, the second floor next to Perimage. All your jerseys, caps, shirts, hats, you name it. They've got it all at the Blue and Orange Store. And again, online, the Blue and Orange Store.com. TCS, Transportation Compliance Service. If you need a job, check them out. They're hiring the trucking industry. They're helping you get into the trucking industry. All the permits and things you need to get out there towing that first load in no time. Highly recommend the folks at transcomservice.com. It's a local company, or it's a national company, but based here locally in the Treasure Valley. And again, if you try to do it yourself, 75% go out of business. Let the professionals handle it, and they'll get you out there towing that first load in no time. Transcomservice.com. All right, the defense, Mike Prater. Eric Chenander takes over as defensive coordinator. We're seeing, we saw the defense in the not a fair comparison, fair whatever, but the defense obviously wasn't great in the UCLA game and the bowl game. And then you go into the offseason, they're trying to get more turnovers, trying to really get that defense going where they want it to be. The pass defense wasn't great last year, obviously, as we all know. I mean, there were some serious issues in terms of the pass defense and the lack of turnovers at times last season. Eric Chenander told us the other day that he went out, and they went out, whether it be in person or on Zoom, to some various schools, some high-level schools, some mid-major schools, and trying to kind of figure out what drills, what do they do. And I thought that was interesting because obviously you want to go to the best of the best, the Clemsons of the world, but they found some schools that maybe have less resources, less whatever, that also had very successful turnover numbers and wanted to know what their secret was and how they do it. And they spent, the good chunk of January and February really diving into this, and players said there's some new drills and some new emphasis. And again, every offseason you talk about new drills for turnovers and new things, and you'll see what happens against Georgia Southern, but that is a hope. And a big storyline for the defense is getting more turnovers. And Eric Chenander has been pretty impressed. And they're trying to get 3 a day in practice. And we're seeing some happening when we're out there at practice. But overall, the Eric Chenander led defense. Just your general thoughts.
I love the fact that it's coming along as fast as it has. And it's, the offense, it seems like when spring camp started, the offense has just been kind of level. I haven't seen any growth out of the offense other than maybe some individual growth like Malachi Nelson, but the offense opened up spring camp on a high level, and I think it's continued to perform at a high level. The defense is kind of doing this, going, that kind of a trajectory. And keep this in mind. This is the most encouraging part. What is there, 4, 5, 6 starters that aren't even playing in this defense? So the backups are doing a nice job. The starters we'll see in August and see how that plays out. I think it's really coming together. Now, the defense has a lot to prove. It's very young. There's a lot of spots to fill, a lot of positions to kind of create not only starters but depth. So the defense has the risk reward of either doing something really great or something really, really low. But I love the fact that they're continuing to build, and I love the fact that they got 4 or 5 starters, maybe even 6, that we'll start to see in August. And when it all comes together, I have no doubt that the offense is going to be spectacular. 35-plus points per game. I really, truly believe that all the pieces are there, including the coach, and I'd be shocked if this football team doesn't average at least 35-plus points a game, maybe even pushing 40. The defense is the X factor, and so far what we've seen in the spring, the X factor is pretty positive sign moving forward.
19 takeaways for the defense in 14 games was all that it ended up being, Mike Prater. That was the lowest total since I believe 2019 full season if you take out the COVID year. But the full, lowest total in like 5 years essentially of a full season. 19 takeaways in 14 games.
And no touchdowns, right? 0 touchdowns.
I don't think they had any defensive touchdowns or special teams touchdowns, right? That was the first time that had happened in like 20-something plus years. And we feel pretty good about Stacey Collins on the special team side. I'm sure that'll be another big offseason storyline. But not only that, not only did they not have a ton of takeaways, but the pass defense, was not great. And we saw people in the first scrimmage already saying, oh, the offense is cooking them again. Same issues with the pass defense. They can't get any stops. But you look at overall, I'm looking again real quick on the fly here. Boise State pass defense, they ranked 110th in the country, gave up 250 yards per game. So you were giving up a lot of yards through the air, and then you weren't getting the turn. It's one thing if you bend but don't break. You give up the yards, but then you get the turnovers at least to get the ball back. They weren't doing that either last year. So certainly, like as you said, I think the defense is going to be very important. And again, Jeremiah Irby, very intrigued by this kid. I think it was the very first practice of camp or the second practice when we were out there. He had a really nice interception in the corner of the end zone. And that from practice 1, he has caught my eye, and I've been paying attention to him. And the last practice we were on the blue, was that Thursday? I guess we were on the blue, I think. He had a really impressive pass break up in the end zone where Austin Bolt was going back for a would-be touchdown. May have been a little tugging on the jersey. I don't know, but he got his hand up there and just swatted it down. And he seems like he's fitting in right away. And then again, it's hard enough to get one pick, but in a scrimmage, when you're not playing, you're rotating guys in to have 2 interceptions in a scrimmage. That says a lot about Jeremiah Irby and what he's doing. Let's hear from Spencer Danielson. Final quote from him today on the defense and their performance in that scrimmage on Saturday.
I mean, if you get 3 takeaways in a game, you will lead the nation in takeaways, which usually when you lead the nation in takeaways, that directly equals success as a football team. And so it's a huge point of emphasis for our defense. We did a really good job at the end of season creating takeaways last year, but defensively we need to do a better job throughout stealing possessions. Then on the flip side, offensively, can't give the ball away. And so winning the turnover battle, I mean, the stats are there. That's the number one stat you look at in regards to winning games is the turnover margin. Winning that 90% of times directly correlates to winning football games. We got to practice it now.
Jeremiah Irby seems like he's just always around the ball. Why is that?
He trains that way too. He trains that way. Since he's been here, he's done a great job in the meeting room with Coach Demo, growing in the fundamentals and techniques we need him to play with. But he also plays extremely hard. And so more times than not, we talk to our team, luck follows effort. The closer you are to the ball because of your pursuit and your commitment to this football team, you're going to be around the football to make more plays. He's also very good at tracking the ball in the air. So not only is he stepped up to be one of our better cover corners at this point, does a really good job at playing the ball in the air. I think he had a couple interceptions today, so proud of him.
Jeremiah Irby, again, this is a guy, Mike Prater, that came in with games started in the Pac-12 at Cal, interceptions in the Pac-12 at Cal. Proven production at the Pac-12 level, I would say. And now he comes in and right away, new team, whatever, wasting no time. I think he's been one of the more impressive or more highlight storylines of spring camp.
I think he's been the biggest surprise of spring camp. And we knew one of these new guys would really, really click. I'm not afraid to say, and I think you would agree with this, having been to every practice. I've only missed one practice, and I think you've been on to almost every single practice. He makes a significant play that jumps out at you every single practice, whether it's a pick, a PBU, whatever it is. I think he might be the only guy you can show up at practice and say, Irby's going to get a big-time play today, and he's going to do it every single practice, and he's going to do it consistently. So that's a really, really good sign. And the fact that he, as you pointed out, 2 interceptions in a spring scrimmage with limited reps, are you kidding me? I think Jeremiah Irby is going to be a spectacular playmaker for this football team. The combination of Irby, McCoy, and Stacey Collins and DeMario Warren, and those 4 creating some defense and some plays and some getting after it. I just like that energy that these guys bring to the table, and I think it's going to be a really, really strong group. Now, with that said, there's like 10 other cornerbacks. None of them have really risen to the level of being a starter. Well, I think there's going to be some serious depth behind them that is going to be pretty darn good as well. So I really like what's going on in the cornerback room.
Yeah, Sky Ship just had a question about that battle there. I don't know if you have your seating chart handy. Mike Prater, in terms of the pecking order there.
Yeah.
But he's asking about Markel Reed. He has not been a full participant. I don't know it's weird what we're supposed to say and not say, but Markel Reed is one of the guys that's been limited this spring due to injuries. So that's why you really haven't heard his name out there. They're bringing him along slow. But he's back for sixth year for Markel Reed, one of the other. He's back for another year. And so I wonder so with him back, you still have Canijo, as a guy that started games and had production at this level. I mean, they have some, it seems like it's going to be McCoy and Irby right now, but I mean, they've got multiple guys that are going to be pushing for playing time here, Mike Prater.
Absolutely. And I do keep my little seating chart here, and I have Markel Reed slipped behind Irby. Right. Obviously the easy choice now is to say Irby and McCoy are going to be your starting cornerbacks. I got Markel Reed backing up Irby. I don't have anybody backing up McCoy. The Thornton kid and the Franklin Johnson Jr. He's a young kid who's one of the fastest players on the team.
By the way, the other day too, 16 Franklin, and when we were out there, he had a nice play.
And I think he's going to be really good, especially with his speed. Now, you mentioned Canijo, and Canijo I noticed last week, and I was talking to some people at BSU. He's dabbling in the safety room right now. So I'm not exactly sure if he's going to be a cornerback or a safety, but I think he's more safety now than he was cornerback before, and we'll see how that plays out and what they want to do with an adjustment there. But maybe because of Irby's development this spring, they can move Canijo over to safety, which is even more kind of weird because there's lots and lots of depth at safety. So I'm not exactly sure what they're trying to figure out with Canijo. Maybe Canijo is one of those guys that really intrigues you. He's got good size. He's got good intangibles, but maybe he's not as productive as you want on the football field. It seems like his production, whether it's real games or practices or scrimmages, just doesn't capture your attention. So maybe they're moving around to see if something sparks. But keep an eye on Canijo, safety or cornerback. But I think at this point, they're going to go into fall with Irby and McCoy as your starting cornerbacks, and then build some depth behind it. I think it's really, really exciting what's going on there.
And I really liked McCoy last year, and he's by all accounts had a heck of a spring himself. And I mean, Spencer Danielson came out and said he could be one of the best cover corners they've had here in a long time. And then you talk about what we're saying about Irby. I mean, the corner position could all of a sudden be a major strength for this team. And then you go at safety, and you mentioned putting Canijo at safety, which is interesting to me because they already have a lot of options back there as well. How do you look at that? Because you have all those guys back, whether it be Tubner and Robinson and Oladipo and Ty Benefield. And then we heard a lot of things about Zion Washington. We talked to him. He got some production last year due to some injuries. You're throwing Canijo in there. I mean, that's like 6-7 guys for 3 spots. So how do you see the playing time shaking out at safety?
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be a lot of rotation, but I think there's established starters. I mean, you got Oladipo if you want to throw the nickel position there at safety.
He's been hurt most of the spring, by the way. Folks are wondering why we haven't said his name.
Yeah, exactly. He's one of the 4, 5, 6 starters that aren't going to be playing. So Robinson and Benefield over on that field side safety, and then Tubner and Zion Washington. Zion Washington, it's almost like basketball coaches substituting for offense for defense. I love Tubner in run coverage. And as a matter of fact, I want to see him playing closer to the line and taking advantage of his run skills. Against the run, he might be one of the better defenders. Against the pass, he's probably one of the least amount of guys that I want out there. Maybe Zion Washington plays the pass. Alexander Tubner plays the run specialties. We'll see how that plays out, but that's a good luxury to have. 2 or 3 spots, 2 or 3 people behind every one of them. The depth in the safety room. The secondary should be spectacular this year, BJ.
I agree. We got about 5-6 minutes left. We have a couple questions left. If you have a question here, we're happy to try to get it answered for you. Talking mostly spring football here as we get you set for Saturday's spring game. Blue Collar wants to know, Mike Prater, about what we think of the O-line. How's the O-line looking?
I think it's been fine, but it's really hard to tell. The 4 starters are locked in, and I don't see a lot of other changes there. The right tackle spot is certainly the one spot there, and that's Schmidt and Cox. There's maybe been an injury there, and they're juggling some people around at right tackle. They had maybe 3 people there in terms of dealing with some depth, but that's not exactly working out. I think the offensive line should be just fine. We'll see. You never really can tell until you get 2 or 3 weeks into the regular real life season. But the offensive line to me should not be a worry. 4 starters, 2 guys competing on the right tackle spot, some pretty good depth. I like what I see.
Somebody is asking if we're doing an event at the James for the spring game. Still working on that. Maybe pregame. Postgame, we are not. There's an Idaho Youth Sports Commission dinner that night, and because the spring game got pushed back, unfortunately, probably looking at a Sunday evening show. May try to get Mike Prater to jump on for a few minutes. I know Coach Riddle and some Winston and some other folks are going to be a part of that as well, but we may do kind of a big extravaganza BNN spring, put a bow on the spring on Sunday night, but we cannot do Saturday. Unfortunately, we do have some obligations for BNN with the Idaho Youth Sports Commission dinner. We give the last 2 years, we've given about $13,000 to them from our golf tournament. And so we're going to head to that, and then we'll figure something out for Sunday. Don't know about spring game yet, but we're working on that. Chase Love, let's see, Tubner hits like a truck. Canijo going to come off the bench. Too much talent ahead of him. Irby, McCoy, Benefield will be the backbone of the secondary. You're talking about the offense, scoring the points, and now we're like talking about how this defense is going to be amazing. The pieces are there, Mike Prater. If they can solve a couple of these, position battles, whatever, health-wise, if you're a Boise State fan, and you're talking now about Stacey Collins on special teams, we're feeling pretty good about most of this defense. You go to the spring game on Saturday, you got to be feeling pretty good about the team you're seeing and the outlook here all summer. This is going to be a fun off season, because I think we all believe now with that 12-team playoff, it should be a real legitimate goal to try to get that group of 5 spot. And I think this team certainly is capable of doing that.
Yeah, well, it's absolutely a goal. There's no doubt about that. And Jeremiah Dickey he established that goal last November, that's going to be the chase. And certainly Boise State's done nothing to get itself in the way of that goal. Let's just put it that way. And all systems are go, and everything's going well. Knock on wood. Not a lot of injuries so far in fall or spring camp, so they're coming out healthy. Now, they need to get the rest of the guys that are missing spring camp healthy for fall camp. We'll see how that plays out. But yeah, it's going to be a big week. It's an important week. Couple practices, a scrimmage on Saturday. Can't wait to see it all how it shakes out.
So Ashton Genty, we're not expecting to play in the spring game. If he does, maybe he returns a punt or catches a punt or something just to get out there. But I would not expect him to be a part of this. In the final, 2 minutes here, what for fans that are going on Saturday? Where are your eyes going to be looking? Where should fans be paying attention to? What we mentioned, kind of the real competitive stuff happened in scrimmage too. It's a more base offense, but there's it's still a practice that counts and tape you have on film. But what do you think in terms of fans going to the spring game on Saturday, or you going where you're going to be looking? What should folks be paying attention to? What questions, battles do you still have? What are your thoughts just on Saturday's spring game?
Well, the first thing I did this morning when I got up was looked at the weather app, and I do that a lot, but this time I looked specifically at Saturday because I wanted to know what the game and what the weather is, because that's going to be everybody's. That could make a difference between 2 or 3 or 4,000 people. It's supposed to be 70s and pretty nice. So I think it's the weather is going to be nice in terms of an issue. There's not a problem there. I'm going to be looking for Malachi Nelson, what kind of reps he's getting and how he looks. See if this defense can continue to climb. I'm not looking for a lot of superstar action on the offense. Maybe a couple of wide receivers can jump out and make some big plays, but look at the back half of this defense. We just spent the last half hour talking about the secondary. Certainly keep an eye on that as well.
Should be a lot of fun. Looking forward to it. Saturdays, the spring game. We'll have interviews tomorrow, open practice tomorrow and Thursday. So we should still have plenty more interviews and coverage getting you set for Saturday. I believe it's a 1:30 start time on Saturday. It is free to the public, so come on in. It should be, as Mike said, a nice day. And then we're still ironing out the plans for pregame, postgame, but probably the spring wrap-up show will be Sunday evening if we can pull Mike Prater in for a couple minutes. We'll see. But looking forward to a fun week, and we have to milk this week for all we can, Mike Prater, because we're going to have all off season with wishing we had weeks, more weeks of practice and things to cover.
One more day and one more week of football. That's going to be sad on Sunday morning when we wake up. But yeah, it's a little bit of off season. Take time for a little bit of a breather, and then August is going to be here fast enough, BJ.
Looking forward to it, Mike. We'll be listening 3 to 6 today, all week. Idaho Sports Talk. We'll be following for any more transfer portal news for the basketball team, as they still have 2 scholarships left to give out. And then, obviously, as we said, football coverage all week. But I know you guys will have it covered every day, 3 to 6. Idaho Sports Talk, 95.3 FM, 1350 AM. You got that KTIK app. Do what I do. The easiest way is the Apple podcast app right there. There's your guys' Oh, so it moved over on me. There's your mug shot right there, so folks can go download the app on the podcast. That's what I do, and you can listen anytime, day or night. So appreciate you guys. Be listening to them at 3 o'clock today. I'll be back with Jay Tust tomorrow. We got practice tomorrow as well. So a lot going on, but hopefully you guys have a great day. And as always, if there's breaking news, we'll have you covered at BroncoNationNews.com. Go subscribe. Go tell your friends. Go use the sponsors. Support them. Tell them it's because of BNN. And we'll talk to you guys later. Bronco Nation News live here at BroncoNationNews.com.